my founder sales look like I usually talk people out of building tech projects. Well, I actually talk them out of a project as well.
Well done.
Because it still makes sense, even with ChatGPT in place. Build another Instagram for me, but instead of just like button, it's gonna be unlike button as well. Hi Ben, I'm glad you're here with me on this podcast.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. There's nowhere else that I wanted to be at 6:30 on a Friday evening.
So yeah, I can feel how this podcast is important for you, so that at 6:30 on Friday evening, you're here with me.
Absolutely. It's important to see you.
We're recording these podcasts for clients so that they can feel and see what we're doing, that we're a real person behind our emails and messages and our landing pages. So that's why it's important for us. Thanks for being here. You are a tech entrepreneur. You're building and disrupting shopping industry with your own product. I'm glad we can talk over the course of the next 30 minutes or an hour about how you started and how you went to a spot where you are and how you went from an idea of your project down to production and release to the market. That's always exciting to hear stories like that. I am getting excited by the products that we're building for our clients. So it's going to be an interesting and detailed discussion and a drill down of your business a little bit.
Yeah, it's always good to see you. It's almost a year. Well, in fact, it's just over a year since we first met. So it seems like a nice setting to mark the occasion.
Actually, we've had our anniversary a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Because we've met at the same conference last year.
Yeah.
Actually, I felt at the very beginning that it kind of starts clicking for us.
Yeah, I think we realized we had 15-minute slots, didn't we? It was a conference. There were regimented slots. We had 15 minutes. You were one of many meetings that I had that day. You approached me. I wasn't necessarily expecting to be pitched about a browser extension, but it was something that was on the radar. And it was something that I was interested in exploring, but I hadn't found you in the app, so I didn't know that you were there. And it became pretty obvious within the first 15 minutes that we obviously had more to talk about, because we had a pretty clear vision about what we wanted our startup to be. We were realizing that just having a web app wasn't enough, and we needed to fit more seamlessly into the natural customer experience. And I think within the first sort of 5-10 minutes, it became clear that you guys knew how we could achieve that. And the rest is history. But I think we should probably give context to what led us to that moment.
Yeah, so I am a founder of Cupcake Development. We are specializing in building complex solutions worldwide. And we ended up specializing in e-commerce and affiliate niche as well, just because we've built quite a few very, very reasonable, pretty big projects in this industry. Top players all the way from Australia and almost every single country in Europe are our clients. You just name a country and I'll remember what the client is in this country. I'm running this business for about 10 years now, and my personal passion is building tech products worldwide that someone else going to be using, especially. I'm not interested in working to the shelf. So I've set up the environment and incentivized the team and picking up the right guys to the team as well. And all that to be able to reach out to all those industries and startups and business that requires tech solutions, pretty heavy tech solutions that can make difference in their business. And if we would deliver that with that goal in mind, there's more chance that someone's going to be using this product versus just, building something that no one ever wanted to open or use. I guess, and that differentiates us quite a bit from just general development agency, because the business model of the development agency is pretty straightforward. You just get to a project, you get requirements, you start building and spending hours, and the budget's over, the work is over, okay, let's go to the next client. That's basically it. So it's not involving any kind of results, business goals. There's no need for the product to be used for the agency to earn their money originally. But for me personally, it's just a waste of time.
So I think that's a big sort of plus point. I think one of the things that we startup founders face is kind of a massive influx of pitching from various different development houses all the time. My LinkedIn is clogged up with developers that are saying, hey, we can help you with X, we can help you with Y, we can help you with Z. We can definitely do it better than the rest of the guys. Give us a chance. Join us here for a Zoom call and we'll tell you in 15 minutes why we're so much better than everyone else. And when you're inundated with so many of those, you become a little bit sort of desensitized to the importance of the offering, relative to your own business. And it kind of turns you off. You end up looking for some sort of in-house solution, maybe like a freelancer who you can use. And I think the valuable thing was meeting you in person, to be honest. If you had pitched me in the same way over LinkedIn, number one, you wouldn't have been able to give the great level of detail that you were able to when we met live. And number two, I wouldn't have known that, what you were like as a person. And I think it's important to work with people that you like and people that you get on with and people that you naturally kind of bounce off each other with good ideas. That's what we got. That's what I felt in the first 15 minutes when you and I first spoke.
Yeah, it's hard to deliver in the message, right?
Yeah, meeting up in person is incredibly important to sort of go through that. And I think in a world that's increasingly global, where we can connect with anybody with an internet and a phone and a computer, then we still need to realize the importance of in-person meets and having that kind of, aura in the room where you find out if you've got that synergy with someone. So that was really important for us to have that last year. And I think that helped separate you guys out from the crowd. I didn't really want to speak with anyone else about a browser extension once you and I had spoken, because I felt like these are the guys that need to do this.
Most clients of our agency, or just by the network, by reference, they can learn themselves that we've done this and that, and they are just getting back to us. Some of our clients recommend us to other clients just because they know we can deliver, solid work to their friends. That's our actually main point of sale and main kind of channel. All those messages that you're getting, I'm getting them as well. So they try not to say that they can build something for our agency if we have not enough resource, all that. Some of them don't even care. They just bombard you regardless of whether you're an agency or a product company. And when we started SmartShopping, I'll get to that in a second, nothing changed. They were still bombarding me the same way, not more than that, not less than that.
Yeah, I guess, everyone's got to get involved with cold outreach. It's one of those distasteful parts of doing business and doing business well. If you're good at cold outreach, you're good at business. Mm-hmm. Would I click open on one of those LinkedIns? Oh, it's a hypothetical situation. Probably not, because it's come in a sea of others. So if you're thinking about different channels, and you're thinking about, okay, where are people getting bombarded? Where are people not getting bombarded? What is a more interesting approach? What are those channels that people maybe aren't using as much? What's a unique and innovative way of grabbing my attention as a prospect? LinkedIn, I get 1,000 of those messages a day. Hand on my heart, I'm not going to read your message and click on your case study because I've got 999 others.
Yeah.
So is there a more interesting way of achieving that cold outreach and getting results? Maybe.
Yeah, that's why we're not very focused in cold outreach. It's just hard to invent, is to spread the word by different means, record podcasts like that, or I went down into recording myself, speaking about our values, what we do, and that helps. Sometimes people can note that or notice my message, and it can click for them as well. It turns out by watching a proper video, people also start feeling like they are closer to the person that they just looked at in some video.
Yeah, your character is going to be coming across like the real person. You can't hide behind anything.
Yeah, that's, I guess, my kind of, well, and I'm just trying to be honest on those videos, exactly the same as I'm in person. I actually don't have any other option. Like I can't pretend, that I'm some other kind of person anyway. So it comes naturally. Sometimes I have to re-record it or, do a little bit edit here and there. But I'm still delivering almost the same message all the time.
Yeah.
Let's go down to back to the conference and how we met there. So apart from all these issues with cold outreach and everything, I decided I need to put more content out, and also what are the other channels? And other channel is conferences like that. We picked up PI Live, and so I went there. It turned out to be pretty valuable experience. It was my first time at a conference like that. A lot of meetings, people, you're talking, and I don't even know what to do there. I was most of the time I was pitching something, but then I realized it's not about pitching. It's mostly about connections. And I think I realized that maybe at this conference even more. So it's, I was mostly not pitching anything, the first day at the conference, because it's all about people and connections. Next time they will hear about Cupcake development, it already rings the bell for them, just a little bit. And it differentiates you already from all that cold outreach that you're getting every day. But at the first conference last year, I was pitching because that was the only kind of a goal that I had in mind. But that also comes naturally with me because when I'm getting to introduction and a person explains what they're doing, I immediately see what can be done from a text perspective to make their business better, especially if that's the niche that we specialize in. I instantly can see this can be done that way. This is not, the best solution here and there. And I instantly starting pitching. So I had to, pull me back a little bit this year to try some different options. But last year, my first conference, I was just pitching all the way through every, meeting, all 15 meetings I had or something like that. But I was not pitching like random things. I was just introduced myself, listened to what the person said, and then, it goes down to kind of solution discussions. And well, some people go down to that as well. Most of the time, they're asking, okay, how you guys can help? And then basically they're requesting for a pitch, right? And in your case, it was very similar. Like you've mentioned that you guys are a startup, and the browser extension. I am a believer in browser extensions in the shopping industry because it converts traffic so much better. Yeah. So and we've went down to details, and it was obviously not enough those 15 minutes that we had.
Yeah, exactly. We had to talk for a lot longer in the end because there was plenty of problem on our side and plenty of solution that you guys were able to put to us. And like you say, going to those conferences is incredibly valuable. Having that face-to-face time, being in the mind's eye, is what it's all about. Sometimes it's not just about sending out loads of emails. It's just about showing up to places, like showing up where people who you can do business with, maybe not now, but at some point in the future, they're like, okay, this is something that we need now. Who do we know? Oh yeah, that guy that was at the conference. When you're putting yourself out there in that environment, that's really powerful. So that's definitely something that we got out of it. And coming back to why we had a conversation, we obviously had a problem. You had a solution. We were a fresh startup with a crazy idea that had never been tried before. I pitched that to you. You were kind of, this could work, and I think I know how to build it. And then we discussed how it would happen. So to give everyone some context, my business, Treea, helps you save money when you buy from decarbonizing brands in retail. So we work with fashion companies, we work with health and beauty companies. It works a little bit like cashback, but the rate of reward is linked to the underlying emission metrics of the brands that you're shopping with. So the greener the brand is, the greater the share of that cashback component. We try to move away from this term cashback. We call it sustainability peg rewards, SPRs for short, because that First one's a bit of a mouthful. And when I sort of pitched you that idea, you'd obviously done a lot of work with cashback before, and you mentioned a few of the clients that you'd had and that you were still working with. So I knew that the cashback part of it was going to work. I knew that you'd know how to build that. What I was unsure about was, how are we able to show the consumer what the sustainable progression of the brand that they're visiting is while they're shopping with them? So how could we have the browser expand, or rather the browser extension expand, and show the emission credentials of the brand? And how can we do it in a way that's not going to blow people's minds or turn people off because it's too much information? How can we make it really visual? And then between us, we came up with the idea of having that
between us on the podcast,
that graph. Well, yeah, but having that net zero graph to sort of show that here's where the company's starting, here's where they're targeting to finish net zero, right, some point in the future, and here is their actual emissions that are tracking against that line. And you guys were able to sort of put all that together. You linked in with the data on our back end. And you're able to show that graph, and it dynamically populate depending on which brand you're visiting at any time. So now when users use Treea, they can see if brands are taking action or if they're not. And they can activate cash rewards based on that action, based on that progression. So we wouldn't have been able to do that without you guys. And that whole process was kind of an eye-opening experience, because it's not something that I'd done before. My background is in finance. I came into this world with an idea and nothing more than that, no experience. So to have you guys be able to hold our hands and be patient with us was really useful. And you have a fantastic team, and Ada was the project manager on it, and she did a fantastic job.
I remember it was a funny story. We've had quite a few detailed discussions in person. Then we scheduled an kind of intro call, and we had a little session online, right? Discussed how we can work and all that. And then you kind of disappeared. And what I don't like about those conferences, like everyone's active on the conference, but then when it's over, it's like no one's doing anything about what they promised on the conference most of the time. I am not saying it's the whole time, but it's most of the time. The fact that we had a demo call, it was already, something. And then you disappeared. And I was like, okay, that's another lead from a conference that's very well into it in person, but never doing anything outside of the conference. But that's okay. We had a few more. We were working, doing, our stuff. I was sitting at the co-working space, I think, at the point, and then my WhatsApp just rings, and I just pick up my phone, and that's Ben calling me. And that's pretty unusual. No one from clients just calling you directly without any schedule, not scheduling anything. I'm picking up, and you go, "Hey Val, I figured something out here. Let's go. Let's do that. We can do that." You were kind of pumped in that regard.
Yeah, but this comes back to what I said before about being in the mind's eye, right? You go to these events, you get to know people, you have conversations, and whereas it might not have been the right time, right? You said I went quiet. That's because I was busy doing something else.
No, it's
so
fine.
when I call you back, it's because I've made the decision that right now it's time to rock and roll.
Yeah.
And that's why I called.
Yeah. I mean, it's super straightforward, but that's in a way a unique experience for me. Because most of the clients, they have an email, we're exchanging emails, they're kind of allocating budget and then replying in the email, maybe a month later or something. But you just called me on my WhatsApp, and I picked it up, and you go okay, Val, let's do this. That was your kind of call. That was pretty interesting and pretty exciting experience. And I felt like you are pumped, to get this done. And that also like a real good green sign for me. We as an agency, we're also picking up clients, not just like you guys from projects picking agencies. We have certain like red flags that we trying to filter out as soon as we can. One of them would be when a client doesn't want to put any effort in his own project. And it's obvious from the very early stages when you're asking for some kind of requirements. It could be a note. It shouldn't be like a proper RFP document. It's just a little bit of requirements here and there about their project, and they're too lazy to put it together, that's a very big red sign. They go, no, it's just like that competitor. You just go ahead and do that. Build another Instagram for me, but instead of just like button, it's gonna be unlike button as well, and we're gonna pay you with our company share, which is gonna be 1%, because the company is gonna be that big as an Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've had so much conversations of that type.
Yeah.
You can't even imagine. So in your case, you were kind of solid and you were pumped to do the thing. You were struggling a little bit with budget, I guess.
Always struggling with budget.
Yeah, well,
Startup world.
all the clients are pretending they're struggling with budget, but I felt your struggle was real back, originally.
Yeah.
And well, my goal is not just to earn here and there right off the bat. My goal is build products. So it's not directly connected to earning money. And that's why we decided we're going to give you a pretty decent discount, because you guys are changing the world, obviously. You're trying to incentivize people shop at net zero, carbon neutral shops. How do you call it?
Yeah, companies that are going green.
Yeah, you're incentivizing shoppers shop at the companies that are going green. And I felt it's exciting to be part of that. It's exciting to put my hands on the potentially on a solution that potentially changing shopping behavior. It's always a thing that you kind of go back and forth with client discussing budgets and stuff. Well, it was obvious, and you were pretty open about what's going on. And it kind of resonated with me as well.
Yeah,
that's also one of the good signs.
I think the easy way to explain all of that is that you guys were really open to talking through everything, and that was really important for us. We didn't have, like you said, a crazy budget, so for us it was important to work with a developer that, number one, believed in what our mission was, which you guys definitely did and do still, and a developer that's willing to understand our circumstances and work with us, understand that there is a future, and that future is more valuable than just a one-off spend, right? And I think that's important in every line of business, right? Sometimes when you get into bed with another party, it's not the best deal for everybody at the beginning. But it's when that matures over time and how that grows and the trust that ends up being formed as a result of people bending over backwards to try and make it work. That's just the important thing. And we managed to make it work. And, we're now at a point where, we're live on the Google Chrome store. And, we've got thousands of subscribers that we're hoping will begin to use the extension all the time as part of their natural shopping journey. And, we got here because you guys were prepared to take a punt on us. We took a punt on you. And I think you've got to sometimes do that in business. You've got to take a risk. You've got to go out there on a limb, and it might work, it might not, but it felt right. It felt right because of the level of discussion that we had prior to, and the lead up to sort of signing up with the contract and talking through terms and rewriting things that weren't quite written in the way that I, with my legal background, would have liked to be written, right? So we rewrote it. It read perfectly, and then we made it happen. So
yeah, I remember these points.
Yeah.
And what's that? Ben once again asking us to change in the contract.
Yeah.
Oh, that's almost exactly the same that we had before. Okay, yeah, let's just put it in.
You'd be surprised the difference that one word could make.
yeah. I guess so.
But so we got past that point, and then the next stage on from that was just getting down to work. And we had made this relationship, and suddenly I was introduced to your project manager, Ada. And it's like, oh, see you then, Val. But obviously your job is done. You've got a big team. And I'm working with Ada now, and I never met Ada before. So I didn't know what to expect. And she was just, the epitome of professionalism. She was just fantastic. Exceptionally clear, really well worded emails, and asked for everything very very clearly, so that I wasn't left guessing what she meant. It was very clear instructions, provide us with XYZ. So we put some time together to get everything across to you, and we tried to be as proactive as possible with that.
Well, what I actually believe makes the project successful, and that's our kind of policy within the company. It's basically pretty simple to build a project. Well, apart from the actual building process, if you're an agency, you have to communicate properly with the client. That's one of the most important points. And also to build a relationship, to build trust in the relationship. The only way I am able to do that, I just don't have any other ideas, is to be deadly honest about everything that's going on. So a lot of communication, honest communication, leads to trust in the relationship. That's what I figured over the course of more than 15 years building projects internationally. And that's exactly what Ada is doing. And she is with the company for a while. I taught her all exact things that I knew working. And she basically did a job that we're doing with every single client, with you guys. Ultimately, I think that what distinguishes a failed project with a successful project is managing expectations. That's basically the most important part of any project. So, at the end of the day, what matters is whether you got what you expected or no, right? So, from one side, you have to build something that a client expects. And from the other side, which is not that obvious, you have to manage those expectations to match what you're able to build. Because, build something that big for a budget of like $1, it's very hard to meet these expectations.
Yeah.
And the only option to manage expectations of a client is clear and honest communication about what's going on, what will happen, what is the process, and what you're going to get at the end. Well, at the same time, you have to manage project, according to all the best practices to get to what you've promised to the client, right? So that's essentially that. There's nothing more in this world building products worldwide. It's just that.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a really important point when it comes to the communication element of establishing what that scope is and being really, really clear about it. Yeah, Ada was able to do that just so concisely, and this was probably before ChatGPT became like a big thing. So I know she definitely wrote all that herself, which was just phenomenal. And getting that clarity about what we were going to expect, when we were going to expect it, was really, really useful for us. To ensure as well that there's no sort of scope creep too. I think.
Well, it started even before that. It started when we were talking through the contract terms and everything.
Yeah.
I was explaining to you what you're going to expect. And then Ada took it over and delivered what you were about to expect. And, during the course of that, she was making sure that, we're getting there and your expectations are still on point as well.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to remember as well, because I'm a founder, I'm coming up with ideas and stuff all the time.
Exactly.
So when I first have a conversation with you, I've got an idea in my head of how I want it to look, and then maybe I'm seeing it develop in front of me because you guys are delivering, builds, and you're showing, okay, this is what we've got so far. And I'm thinking, wouldn't it be nice if we could add in this? And then you're like, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
That's outside of the scope. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Okay. But, I think if we'd just been doing a simple cashback extension, right? You guys could make those until the cows come home. You're very, very much experts in that space. Because we wanted to build something that was more than cashback, something where the rate was linked to the sustainability metrics of brands, we had to show that sustainability visually, and that needed to be a part of the extension. That was incredibly important to us.
Yeah.
And I think because that was so new, we were between us trying to figure out how that would work and how we can fit that into the original scope. And in the end, we did. We got it all in, and we've got the product that we now have. It's still pretty much the first iteration of the extension that we have live at the moment. There is another design that I've done
that happens all the time.
Yeah, exactly. You keep building upon it and iterating upon it.
As long as you see the first beta version of a product, you as a founder usually have plenty of ideas how to make it better, or that you've made a wrong decision and you need this part to look differently. That happens 100% of the time.
But it's subjective then, because you need actual proof, and the proof comes from users. It's people that are not involved in this, that have no clue what it is. They download it, they use it for the first time, they give you feedback. They're like, this is a pile of crap, or this is really useful and it's intuitive and I understand how it works.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
You're either getting one of those or the other, or some amalgamation of the two in between. I like this, but I don't like that. Until you have that feedback, you can't really hope to move any kind of iteration forward, because that would just be subjective to one individual. You need hundreds of people, ideally thousands of people, to give you feedback and to find out, what are those responses that are correlating the most? Like, which ones are sort of the usual responses over that sample size? And can we boil that down into like three things, like three core things that we can change or that we can improve, and then build that into the iteration? That's where we are now. We're like, let's get it into the hands of as many people as possible. Let's get their feedback, and let's go back to Val and say, look, this is what we need to do next. Not based on what I believe, but based on what the users believe.
Yeah, that's a very good topic. And that's what most founders don't realize. Well, especially the ones that's building their first or second product. They kind of feel that they know better the whole time. Well, and that's good. It's natural for founder. When we deliver the version, they have plenty of ideas what can be done better. That's all good. And most of the ideas are reasonable. And that's a very important point that you've mentioned. It's usually even more important to get it live as soon as possible, so that you hit the market, you see how it reacts, and then exactly as you told, you adjust the product based on what market wants, not what you as a founder want. Yeah. So I usually, I usually talk a lot of founders out of building a lot of stuff in the first iteration. I talk them down to building an MVP. We, as an agency, we should be building as much as we can. That's our kind of business model. But what we do, we talk them out of building everything, and we suggest building the most important core features, and go out to the market as soon as possible, run there to see what actually works. Oftentimes, they have to pivot from that. And the less you've spent on an MVP, the more sustainable you are in terms of business.
Yeah, amen.
Right. That's actually pretty funny how, I'm a founder myself, right? And my founder sales look like I usually talk people out of building tech projects.
No, but I think what you're doing is, because you guys are pros, right? It's that simple sells. And if you're a founder and you're coming up with an idea, just make the most easy, simple version of it first, because it's best if it's embarrassingly easy, because that way most people can use it, right? I think you get into a level of complexity where it just creates a barrier rather than improving the experience. So being able to talk founders out of that is good, without, of course, talking them out of their vision, which is the most important thing for them. So it's like finding a way of understanding what the vision is and saying, look, this would be the simplest version of it. Let's build that first. Let's get the feedback. Let's build the next version.
Yeah, well, there are two things, actually. First is, as you mentioned, without talking them out of their vision. And the second one is, sometimes they're not in the right spot yet in terms of whether they've raised funds for this. Do they have it already in place? I remember I had a lead. They wanted to build a product and they had a vision. It was pretty interesting vision, but the budget they had, it was 80% for the development and 20% for marketing.
Yeah.
And I immediately realized they will never get any usage with that, because we will deliver the product, we will spend our time, they will pay us to do that, and they won't be able to deliver that to the market properly.
Yeah. Yeah, because if no one knows that you exist, then what you've built is redundant anyway.
Yeah, and that exactly goes down to building and working to the shelf
Yeah.
that I'm trying to avoid. So I ended up talking out quite a few people out of products.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, sometimes a founder doesn't have a choice, right? A founder's got to build something to test it. They've got to do so in a way that's most cost efficient for them. They've got to leave enough back in the back pocket to be able to deploy into various different marketing channels and test. But then when you've got so many marketing channels to test, you need a decent enough budget to test all of them properly. Because if you're not, then you're kind of selling yourself short. Or you need to be super smart and find a free way of doing it. Some kind of hack, some kind of like leveraging SEO to the hilt and bashing out blogs that resonate with people, or creating content, but doing so at scale and doing so freely. Things like that have got to be tested first before you test out those paid channels anyway. But yeah, if you don't have the budget in the back pocket to test the paid channels properly, I think is the point here, then there's no point building that product in the first place.
Yeah, makes total sense. So it's basically another struggle on that market, I guess, when you as a founder, you have hard times picking up the right team that will build your product and they're capable of delivering that. At the same time, you as a founder getting bombarded by cold messages all over the place that there's some development team and they can just do some work for you. How would you, well, apart from visiting in person, which is pretty rare as well, to find that match, what would you recommend for these kind of situations?
I suppose you need to be open to having conversations with people. If you've got something in your mind where you've got a vision of a product, you need to build it, and maybe you can't build it yourself, or you can build a really simplified version of it yourself, but you can't make it professional and you need help to tweak it. You've got to have the conversations. And you've got to be open to maybe responding to the odd LinkedIner that tries their luck, and clicking on them and doing a bit of background reading into what they've done before, finding out if they actually exist, if the agency's good, if they've got decent clients and a strong portfolio, and making a decision based on that. A lot of the time, though, you're not in a position where you need it. A lot of people are still contacting me about development work, and right now I've got my development solution. I've got it there. They obviously don't know that.
Or maybe you can go and look somewhere else, not just in those incoming cold messages that you've got.
Yep, sure. You can do that. What did you have in mind?
Yeah, well, we actually got a lead coming directly from YouTube.
Yeah.
And we've got on a call. It was an intro call with the guy we never heard about before. And it was a decent conversation. So what happened is he just noticed my shorts on YouTube when I was talking about some development stuff, and he already knew me, obviously, and it was super surprising. So we're getting on a call, and he goes, "Yep, I've seen what you're doing. I pretty well understand what your approach is about. Let's get straight to business." And it was super easy call. I didn't have to pitch everything, like my approach, why we're building products worldwide and why I'm excited about it. He already knew all that.
Perfect.
It saved my time in the first place. And the most exciting part, he got to us just by watching my videos on YouTube.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect example of like leveraging what is essentially a free channel.
Well, I actually talked him out of the project as well. But anyways.
Well done.
Yeah.
Did he want to spend money?
Yeah, he wanted to spend money, and I talked him out because he had money just for the development and not putting it out. Yeah. Well, they went to some white label solution and spent everything for that as well.
Right.
So I suggested you better test this solution. Yeah, it's not that flexible. It's not doing exactly what you want, but you still can test your market exactly as we just discussed.
I think that's good. I think that shows you, you guys are bona fide people that actually want the best for everyone that you speak with. It's not necessarily about closing a deal every time.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's about letting people know that this isn't the right time for them. And whereas you could take their money, it would not be the right thing to do.
Yeah, I would much rather wait for them to test it out and get back to us when they have much more usage.
Yeah.
And when they really faced, limitations of their white label solution that they have. And at the same time, they will have much better idea of what they really want in their product.
Yeah, it's always a cheaper way to test anything out. You can do so on a really small scale. You don't need to build an app. You could just run a survey. There's various different things that you can do to get the feedback that you need to get without building the end product and waxing a load of money that you never really had.
Yeah. Another source that I was surprised we got, and I even had another source about it, one lead came to us from ChatGPT.
Right.
And I asked how
I
does that
saw
even...
your video on that.
Oh, really? Oh, you're watching my videos.
I've seen your videos.
Oh, that's nice.
I've seen them. They keep popping up on my feed. The algorithm thinks I like them.
I bet you
I do like them. They're good. They're good.
That's fine. So, so the person, they've got an offer or something like that. What was the case? Yeah, they've got an offer from some developer.
Yeah.
They've asked ChatGPT what is other top 10 developers of similar type that can build the product that I want. They had like a requirements document done by someone else. And ChatGPT came with our name like in top 2.
Right.
And the person reached out to us. I don't think he reached out to all 10 that he got.
How do you feel about the ChatGPT scraping your site? It's been through it.
It works.
It's got all your ideas.
Now, everyone's struggling to appear in Google search results, but apparently ChatGPT search results works even better. Well, for us as well.
Yeah. No, it does make sense. And that kind of brings me onto a question that I was interested to ask you. AI, you can now code by using natural language input, right? Coding has been a language that the very few bright people have been able to learn to the point where they are able to stitch together great applications. But now that ability has essentially been democratized, right? It's available to the world because if you get a smart enough prompt that covers all the bases, you can put some coding together and build a product. So how does that affect your business moving forward?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Like, why do I as a founder need the help of companies like you anymore? Not that I don't. I know I do right now, but I do right now, and I want it because you and I are friends. But
not because of that, actually. Because it still makes sense, even with ChatGPT in place.
Right. Yes, and this is it. Like, because I imagine you're going to answer by saying it's not necessarily a replacement; it's an augmentation of our abilities.
Yeah, and we use that sometimes, and it can do pretty straightforward tasks. But when it goes down to that trust, that communication, and making sure expectations are met, ChatGPT doesn't care about that. It just delivers what it's told to the level of its understanding and to the level of that prompt that you were able to put together.
Absolutely.
That's it. We use it in development as well, but it is a pretty isolated parts of code. Sometimes it's I know guys are using that for their pet projects much more than production projects. Mm-hmm. It's typically like a tool. It's a time saver, but you can't live with just that yet.
No, yet being the operative word.
Yeah, it is actually hard to manage people. And I dream about the day when, Tesla will roll out their robot that will do everything that I don't like at home. And also, ChatGPT will code everything and I will just hire that one thing for subscription instead of the team of, 30 people that we have. But it's not there yet.
Yeah, but it's pretty close.
Well, it requires a human, the one that is able to have expertise in putting together projects architecturally and everything, to review it, to correct it where it's wrong. Sometimes it's making up the answers that's not essentially true.
Yeah,
you have to have common sense applied to it on top of whatever it's doing. And we actually use an AI technology in our product, SmartShopping, but we use it as a support. It's not a key decision maker. It's not based just on AI. SmartShopping is a tool to apply coupon codes automatically on all the websites, on all the shops online. And we use it to crawl the web and do all that, but we have people that reviews it. We have a solid process of testing the stores and everything that is not AI based yet, and that's how we make it 100% solid result.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. And so it works a little bit like the honey, so a bit like the honey extension.
Yeah, SmartShopping is a plug and play tool for the most complex features in the e-commerce market.
Yeah.
So imagine you have a coupon browser extension or cashback browser extension, and you want that complex functionalities just like honey or other big companies that's doing all that. It's when your shopper is visiting a store, especially store's checkout page, it recognizes the checkout page. It figures out that we can apply coupon codes there automatically on a tech level. And if you as a company do have coupon codes in place, it will take your coupon codes and apply them one by one, calculate the total of a cart, make sure the best coupon code is applied for the shopper viewers, and it will present the end result. Like here's the result. This coupon code worked. That's how much you saved on top of the cashback that you also getting. So that saves a lot of time for shopper. They're no longer Googling for coupon codes. At the same time, for the cashback company, it helps convert more activations to the actual purchase, because on the checkout page, users are not going anywhere else looking for coupon codes. They're under the impression that you've covered them already.
Right.
And it brings shoppers back after lost activations as well. So it's a pretty essential tool, and it's hard to build in-house, because your in-house team has to be specializing in what you do. We, as a tech solution provider, we've built dozens of online shopping browser extensions and mobile apps, and we know how the industry works, and we're basically at the tip of a wave here. While if you even have your in-house team, they're locked in your solution, they know how it works, they can tune your solution within their knowledge. They're not getting this knowledge from anywhere else. They're not learning from the market. They're not learning best practices that's happening somewhere else. So hiring us for the work means you're getting the top expertise on the market from the guys that's done a lot of projects in this industry. And we've built this functionality quite a few times originally. And then we turned that into a technology solution, into a SaaS, so that now you can just subscribe for SmartShopping.ai and you're getting that most complex functionality on the market to your shopper browser extension.
Yeah.
Just with plug and play.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what's next. What's next for your project after you're out already with your MVP? What do you see is the next plan for you?
So the next big step for us is getting the extension into as many hands as possible. Getting people to download the Chrome extension. It's totally free.
That's what you're doing already, right?
Yep, we're doing that already. We've got a big email campaign that starts this Sunday. We've got a sustainability quiz in that campaign where the more questions you answer, the more entries you get to a prize draw. We can win £100. So if you sign up to Treea today, you'll be included in that mail out to announce the launch of the browser extension. And hopefully you will all give us feedback one way or another. It doesn't have to be good. It can be bad. If it sucks, then let us know. And we'll get my good friend Val here to sort out all the problems.
Of course. That's my job.
But there shouldn't be too many problems because you guys did a fantastic job with the first build. So we're really happy with it. We're really excited about it. And we couldn't have asked for a better service from you guys.
Yeah, thanks for that. But what are the plans for the solution that you have?
The plans for the solution is, we're going to start refining the rewards methodology that we have. We're going to build in the social and governance elements to the rewards system and try to provide a more well-rounded assessment of a brand sustainability as we know it, at least in the context of ESG. Getting more and more experts involved in this is crucial for us. And, getting direct feedback from not just users, but also industry experts who, want to see certain things added to it. They want to see certain metrics be presented. And they want to find simpler and easier ways of accessing that information that hopefully through the extension and through the web app, we're able to give them.
Are you planning any work, technically speaking?
Technically speaking, we're going to be potentially building a mobile app for Android, iOS.
Shopping mobile app.
Yep. There is word that Google Chrome is working on a mobile version of Chrome that is able to host extensions. And we are really interested in exploring that, potentially getting the Treea extension into your mobile. We're familiar with how much people use mobile as part of their shopping experience these days. I think less we sit down with our laptops. So certainly for Gen Zs, Gen Alphas, who are really interested and find sustainability important to their everyday lives, they also do a lot of shopping on mobile. So we want to make sure that our solution is available for them to activate and benefit from in the way that they're used to shopping, which is on their phones.
Yeah, so actually Safari mobile browser extensions already available, and we've built quite a few of those already for our clients.
Superb.
It's actually pretty typical for iPhone, iOS user to just stick to the original browser on their devices, which is Safari. So as long as there's a mobile app in place or client, once the Safari mobile browser extension is introduced, it's attached to their mobile app, and they're instantly covering the same user base that they already have on mobile, and introduced to Safari, just pull it through and push it out to all the users, the mobile Safari extension. I feel like Chrome will go similar direction. I'm not sure if it's going to be tied in to apps like in iOS, but it most likely going to be similar on Android.
Yeah.
But with Chrome. But for iOS, we'll see how it's going to be integrated. I guess you have to install Chrome browser in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, we're really interested in exploring all of those avenues. For us, we're anxious to get feedback on what we've built so far, so that we can justify moving forward and adding additional functionality into those new iterations that we might build into those new platforms.
Have you ever thought about getting users additional information right on checkout page about what's going on? Not just when they landed on the merchant, say, just landed on Nike, and you pop up your message saying how Nike is doing with their sustainability score and everything, and then activating your link, obviously, if users participating, right? Have you ever thought about notifying them additionally right on checkout page? Because that's what we can do within SmartShopping product. We can recognize checkout pages of thousands of stores out there and potentially deliver additional messaging from Treea right on checkout page.
Yeah, I mean, that would be fantastic. We definitely like to get exposure to, the value proposition that we have at Treea on as many of those sort of pages as possible. Certainly at checkout page, it's going to be important to present some of the sustainability data of the brand, maybe dial down into more sustainable options that there could be on the site on a product by product basis. Although at the moment we only really rank brands, relative to their overall sustainability metrics. We don't dial down yet into the actual carbon footprint of a product. But that is definitely going to be a focus too. But being a part of that last stage of the consumer journey on the checkout page would be definitely valuable for us. And that is, again, something that we'd look to explore once we have tested out that first iteration that we've built right now.
Makes sense.
Seeing what we can do, and if we can talk again in a year's time, maybe things will look a lot more different and we'll have more interesting things to talk about.
Yeah. Thank you.
8 o'clock on a Friday.
Are you planning to raise a round for the product?
Yeah, we are actively now looking to raise a round. We've got SEIS and EIS, Advanced Assurance with HMRC. So investing in Treea gives you a very nice tax break if you are a angel investor, VC. We're interested in speaking with people that want to support us on our mission to pay people money back when they buy from greener brands. So
I will leave your contact in the description.
Superb. Yeah.
Maybe it will help your fundraising campaign.
Absolutely. That would be fantastic. Good to chat.
Thanks, Ben, for coming here. Thanks for telling us your story. You really appreciate that you trusted us. I do believe it's a lot of other things, a lot of communications and work is still in front of us. With the trust that we've built, it's a no-brainer. We're going to keep working together. Maybe we'll have another podcast after some time and speak more about what difference we were able to make with our work from both sides. Thanks for coming over. Thanks for detailed explanation about what you do. Thanks for sharing your experience working with us. I appreciate that. Thanks for spreading the word about our work.
It's been such a pleasure being invited to be on the show, Val, and thanks so much for the great work that you and the team have done for Treea so far. I think it's the beginning of a pretty long relationship where you guys are so connected with what we now have, and we want to continue working with you guys to build an even better and more intuitive and more simple to use and more engaging and informative version of the Treea extension moving forward. So I really appreciate being on the show, and I hope it was illuminating.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Val.
Cheers. Pleasure speaking to you.